I always want you to remember, school is for dummies. And you're not a dummy. School is for robots. And automamons.
3, 2, 1.
Hi guys. We're going to do some school hunting today. Trying to find a school for you. So, what do you reckon? Starting in about 2 weeks? Dash, what do you reckon about this school? Do you like it? We're gonna make a video today about how school is destroying everyone, and the people in the schools are actually great. The school teachers and everybody in there, and even the heads of the school, and some of the people working in the Ministry of Department as well throughout the Western world, they're great as well. They're all trying to transform the school. The people and the principals, they're all great. They've all woken up one day saying, I want to help the next generation become wonderful people. But as of year 2024, it's not working. So a lot of you people that will listen to this probably have kids, and this is all about solutions, right? Like how to create a solution. Like what do we... I can't just say bad things about school and then not give you any solutions. You know? So where do we start? Where's the solution? Where do we start, Heather? Where do we start? Where do we start? Where's the solution?
Definitely not homeschooling.
Okay, well that's the same way to start, right? that's a good start actually. So why not homeschooling, right? So homeschooling is already happening when they're spending time with you, and I guess that's a version of homeschooling. And what's the disadvantage of homeschooling? Which is they don't get to meet other people. They don't interact as much as they possibly should. But again, if you were to homeschool your kids, which I think a lot of people, you know, in the position or the willingness to do it would, then to make up for the lack of interaction during the day, you know, they could go to sport and lessons and, you know, piano lessons or whatever, musical lessons, art lessons, and hang out with friends on the weekend and, you know, make friends in the community and social groups or whatever. So I guess that would make up for it. So, why is the schooling system essentially terrible? Just look around you. Look at everybody that is the age of 14 or 16 or 18 or even younger. They're not ready and capable for life, and they've got a lot of mental problems. This is everybody, right? Everybody's kid. And that's one of the reasons I talk about these things, because Dash is walking into that world right now, and he's not going to be an exception. So they all have weird quirks. They've got anxiety, social issues, they're unhappy with life, they're overly reliant on people saying good things about them. It's a total mess, right? So if we as a society were spending no money and resources on kids, and they were working out to be like this, then we're like, oh, you know what, we could probably spend more time and resources on kids. But I don't think that's the problem. We spend, as a society, the maximum amount of resources you can on kids. Your entire life revolves around them. And most parents, I would say up to 80 to 90% of parents are trying and sacrificing their own well-being for their kids, in their time, their well-being, their finances, for their kids, right? Some are putting more, some putting less, but there's only a few, very small percentage of parents, I would presume, that are not great parents. You know? So if we as a society are putting everything into kids and it's still not working out, this is not saying that the people are bad. It's saying that there's something wrong with the system, what we're doing, something else is up, right? Or the society has changed as well. Like the current education system is not suitable for our current kids. You know? So when we're teaching our kids what world are you walking into? What's the world going to look like in 20 years? You know, like, are we going to be talking to our computer friends who will give us the answers to everything? Then what's the point of learning stuff, right? There's no point. It's better to learn how to ask good questions than to learn anything, because the computers will answer everything anyway. So that's an example of the world we're walking into, right? So that's where we want our kids to, we've got to start that now. So why is the education system always, well, not suitable? And it started off well, so we can't say the education system is bad at all. You know, initially kids were working with their parents in the farm, you know, wherever they were doing, and then when they tried to do and go into town and do the banking, or, you know, read a stop sign or sign a contract, they didn't know how to read, or some of them didn't even know how to talk. I mean, they just spoke their own town language. So the education system brought everyone together, you know, and said, okay, well, you have to send your kids here. But at the same time, even back then, it was, you know, it was good. The intentions were good. That's what we do as intention. We lift up everybody in society to make their life better. That was the intention, right? But there was also dark sides, even back then. So essentially, the education system in the Western world, starting from Russia, England, Eastern Europe, Australia, and then America, in about 1800s, when even then a lot of kids they only finished school when they were about 12 or 13, and there's only boys went and all that kind of stuff. But even then, the intention was good. Let's help everyone at least learn the basics so they can sort of do very, very basic stuff and sign basic contracts and read stop signs, you know what I mean? People didn't even know how to do that. It became a military machine at that point. So what the kids were taught was, to be an honorable boy, you have to fight for your country. And all these boys walked out in the back of their head saying, I am not a worthy man to have a family, to have kids, to have land, and be proud of myself unless I'm a military man. So all these men were keen and ready to prove themselves worthy of that woman, worthy of that life. So, and the government took advantage of that. Well, the government really set that up in the school, through the schooling system. And when it was time to go to war, instead of, you know, trying to mediate peace, trying to mediate, you know, some kind of deal between neighboring countries, you had all these young men ready for war because the school had indoctrinated them, and you had the governments that were more than ready to pull the trigger because there's no consequence to them. They sat in their warm offices and let everybody die. And that happened, and still happens till this day. Less of it, but still there. You know what I mean? As early as, you know, 20 years ago, that was still happening. Now, young kids, generation, you know, the 20-year-olds are like, you know what? I don't believe in the system. I don't believe in anything really, which is really, it's good because it's questioning the system. You know what I mean? So, which is good. So, and then you had your next generation, which was the last 100 years, which was kids being taught to be robots. Like, don't think, don't ask, don't do anything. If you feel an emotion, sit there quietly on your desk and listen to the teacher, because that's what your life is going to be about. You're going to work in a factory and pick up boxes and put them down. When the alarm goes off, when the bell goes off, you get up and you have your tea. When the alarm goes on, you sit back down. That's what schools have been like for the last few hundred years. We're trying to pop ourselves out of that now, but we can't. The education system the education system itself is an entity that wants to live. I mean, it's alive, it wants to live. It's not a living, breathing organism, but it is alive and it wants to live. So it will not let you, it won't let us break out. So currently we're using an education system that was probably supposed to be done 200 years ago, and we're still using it now. All the teachers complain, all the middle management complain, all the principals complain. A new curriculum comes out every week trying to shift it, but at the end of the day, the kids are sitting at the desk, anxiety filled, don't know what's going on, not really taught anything about what's happening inside of them and anything really. And then they walk out at 16 or 18 with no real, all this effort, time, energy has gone into it, and they're still, I guess the way I like to put it is nothing to be proud of. I mean, they're not confident young people ready to roll and negotiate themselves through life and live a quality of life. And we've put a lot of time and effort into it, you know. So you don't have to take my word for it. Just look around at every kid out there, you know. And we want to turn this around to saying, yep, every single kid, or at least 80-90% of them, they're ready to roll. They know how to manage them through life. They know how to negotiate the next job. They know how to, you know, deal with money. They know how to deal with their emotions, their mental states. They know how to, you know, find some kind of joy and happiness in life, and really manage themselves through existence, you know. So that is a bit of a summary. Heather, any other ideas what we should talk about? No. So where's the hope, right? The simple answer is that instead of making this fake world called an education system, we introduce kids into the current version of the world straight away. So if we were a tribe and we went hunting, we don't draw pictures of snakes on the ground and say, hey, watch out for this animal. If it bites you, you'll get hurt or die. We take the kids hunting with us, and they sort of stand back at a safe distance. They don't get involved, and they see it all happen, right? So we don't put a fake reality in. So the fake reality is so when the kids have 18 years of fake reality, and then they walk into the real world, then there's this mental dissonance, or this mental, well, for 18 years I had this, and then this is the real world. What is going on, right? Your brain never recovers from that. Even at the age of 40 or 60 or 70, you're just never able to detox from the first 18 years. So the most capable kids in our generation were the ones that worked with their parents. You know what I mean? At the cafe, at home, on the farm, they did all that stuff. They entered the real world straight away, and they didn't get to 18 and go, oh, I have to do this. I have to actually, you know, talk to people and negotiate things, and I have to be nice to my, you know, colleagues, you know. All this stuff just didn't occur to them at 18, and then their brain just can't figure it out. And then you have people that are 35, 40, and they still haven't figured it out. So that's the simple answer. Just have kids involved in the real world as soon as possible. And how do we do that practically when parents are working and things are happening and blah blah blah? That's the answer that everyone has to answer for themselves. You know, we're trying to do it right now, which we're sending them to what you would call like a bit more of a holistic school. They're not focused on anything particularly in terms of education and how smart you are, because my understanding is that if you're a happy person, you know how to manage yourself, you have a bit of joy in your life, you can really teach yourself anything. You can become a musician, a doctor, whatever you want to be, you can give it a crack, right? So we want kids to, like, well, my hope is that, you know, little Dash finds peace in his existence, and then everything else is an add-on. Education, life, happiness, everything else is just add-on. That's a thing he can always just bring into his life anytime he wants. It's not like saying, hey Dash, you have so many capabilities, you should become this person. You should become a swimmer, a dancer, a mathematician because you're so smart. That's secondary, right? The first thing is you got to find happiness and joy in life. Anyway, we're here at the school, and let's go see what it's all about. Okay, well, this is the school right now we're going past. So, yeah, I'm not saying that this school is any good or better or the answer. I'm not saying that, that's not for sure. But in this situation, this school was an organization called Waldorf and a guy called Rudolf Steiner, that created it. And so I'm not saying this is the answer, but I'm just saying the concepts behind it is well, I think Dash liked it as well. He had a good time. So let me think, what's the idea behind it? The idea is that it's what they call like what's important in life, and that's what we focus on. That's the whole education system, in my understanding of what they are talking about. So if creativity is important in life, then all the tasks they do is like art, music, creating their own music, So that's how they sort of run their system. It's based on values of humanity and joy, creativity, as opposed to a normal education system, which is like, let's go do music. But the intention behind it is not creativity. It's just, let's just go learn music. When you become good at music, then you can go and be creative in your own time. I know that's a general rule. Sometimes you're probably allowed to be creative, but that's this one is, you'd probably only have like 5 or 10 values that you follow through your whole 11 years, and the way they try to implement it is all sorts of cool stuff. You do your own gardening, they've got the same school teacher that you have throughout your whole schooling system, from kindergarten all the way to year 6. And then when you go into high school, you get the same teacher or something. But for the first 2 years. But either way, those are details. The point of this is not everyone going and join holistic schools. The point of it is like, most people won't get the chance to do any of this kind of stuff. So I guess you have to go and balance things out with your kids. So if they're not getting a lot of outdoor time, you've got to do outdoor time with yourself, by yourself. If they've got if they're overly influenced by certain technologies, then you have to try to balance them out. Like saying, if they use a lot of Instagram, for example, you need to understand what Instagram is and go, hey, you do know that Instagram is everyone showing the happiness of life. So when your brain looks at happiness of everyone else, you feel like you're inadequate, your life is not good enough, and it's just you're seeing that 1 second of their life, but as soon as that phone goes down, they're having problems, financial problems, fights with people, the other 1,000 thing, going to sleep and can't fall asleep. Obviously they don't tell you about all that, right? So Instagram creates this, and you as a human are always playing the comparison game, right? Comparing yourself. So Instagram, so if your kids are on Instagram a lot, you have to say, hey, by the way, go ahead, use Instagram, but do realize what your brain is doing. Oh, he's having a crickle crackle. Looks like it's milk time. No. Not milk time. Maybe he just wants to add to the conversation. I think it's milk time. He's trying to suck my hand. And now he's laughing. Oh, okay. What else is there? his face? Let's put a face tracker on it. There we go. Where else? Heather, somewhere to start? So, what is the answer? What is the answer to all this? The answer is, think, we need to try something new. That's the answer. We all as parents, throughout all the worlds, we need to try something new. We need to try. What else what do I mean by new? Like, we need to try something new. We need to, like, for example, one of the biggest things as well is going to university. It was only accessible to people that were willing to pay for it, and now as more and more people are willing to pay for it, it's more and more evident that going to university does not lead to anything good unless you're being educated in a job where there is a monopoly in the system, where the government forces you to go to university to get that job, like a doctor. What else is there? Pretty much only and lawyers and nurses, right? So that's the only case where you would have to go to university. But every other case, university is generally going to damage you rather than help you, because if you go and learn business at university, you get educated to be a robot. Oh. Okay. So Dash is not happy. He wants a dummy. Or milk. So, yes, so I'm saying it. It's like learning a bad habit. It's like taking drugs. It takes a long time to get rid of. And it's like everything in life. Like, if you do something that is damaging, it's hard to get rid of it. So if you get educated badly till your age of 24 or 18, it can take up to 20 years, 30 years or a lifetime, and you'll never be able to uneducate yourself so that you can start thinking in a way that you become valuable. So for example, if you wanted to become a person in business, and I wanted someone to help me in my business, if they were studied in university, I would not hire them. And a lot of people in the world will not hire them because they become robotic thinkers that cannot think about what's happening in front of them in the context of the situation creatively. All they're doing is just applying something like the university in a situation that's not applicable anymore. So that's what I mean by damage. And you can't get rid of it. It takes 10, 20, 30 years, or forever, or you just never get rid of it. So that's what I mean by damage. So yeah, so when your kids are like, oh yeah, I get a scholarship, I go to university for free, do realize that is damaging, and you can see it in the media, the news, everywhere, that all these people that send their kids to university or school and they come out worse for it, whether they become like, they start fighting the very system that helped create our world, because universities are so out of touch with the real world, and the education system is so out of touch with the real world, because the real world is the real world. The real world is the workforce, the businesses, those things, right? So if they were part of the real world, then the education system would be very different. So the people in the universities, the people in the schools, they have no idea what the real world is, unfortunately. They've only been educated of what it is. So that's what I mean by damage. You know what I mean? So yes, I'm going to say it and upset lots of people, but your kids are being damaged by the schools. How much more evidence do you need? Look at all the stuff on the news and all the culture wars and the depression rates. The kids spend all day at school with their friends and they still feel lonely. Like, what? There's more than what just meets the eye, right? There's something else going wrong in the system. So, you know, we all need to be involved and question what's going on and try to fix it. And yeah, obviously I don't have the answers, but I'm just getting everybody in the thinking, what do we do, you know, and try to balance out the problems in our systems. Yeah, that's about right. Any thoughts, Heather? Any thoughts? Any thoughts? No. What else is there? Yeah. Like keep in your mind's eye as you look at your kids and go, what's a vision of them that I'm happy with, you know? And usually something like, well, they can make good decisions for themselves and the people around them and live a good existence even when I'm not around 100% around them, you know? So that's, I guess, a good goal for all of us to have for the kids. They can make good decisions for themselves and live exist well even without us around. Yeah. Is that a good vision, Dash? Any remaining thoughts, Dash? Any other thoughts? What did you think about the school? That's his, I'm going to sleep, or I'm tired.